When you watch a professional presenter perform under pressure, it appears effortless. What you don't see is what goes on before that performance and the way the speaker uses those final few minutes before he or she begins to speak. Now, let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk, and I'll tell you about my personal ritual and how this might help you the next time you have to perform under pressure.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
There's no debating the fact that standing before a room full of people creates pressure. The studies continue to point out that the fear of heights, snakes, drowning, and needles still round out the top 5 biggest fears. Still, those fears do not compare to the fear of public speaking. We all deal with the pressure of public speaking. Some people excel under pressure, and others tend to wither and weaken under the weight of it. We often read about tips and ideas that help to battle this difficult nemesis during a presentation, but personally, I believe the battle is won before the presentation is ever delivered. Clearly, repetition is the greatest friend of anyone who performs in front of others. The more we perform, the easier it becomes. But even repetition can create problems for performers because we often are lured into complacency. Do you really want to avoid any anxiety before an important meeting or presentation? I happen to look forward to that slight, uneasy feeling before a presentation. As a matter of fact, the only time I do feel any sense of real nervousness is when I feel nothing before a presentation. There's an ominous feeling in the air that this might be the day I perform flatly. The fact is this: we want that pressure. We need that pressure. And it's that pressure that makes us unforgettable. We know that this pressure will abate once we get a few minutes into our presentation. So it's those first few minutes that are the roughest. Unfortunately, that's when the audience is judging us the hardest. When I train speakers, I work hard on working out those first few minutes of delivery. But if pressure gets in the way, the powerful opening is lost. That's why I focus so hard on what happens before a presentation is delivered. Consider these 4 simple thoughts to help you manage this, or for that matter, any pressure situation. 1, show up early, and I mean early. It never ceases to amaze me when I see someone show up 30 minutes before a presentation, and then he or she begins to set up. The pros will show up an hour before a presentation. I show up significantly earlier for a host of reasons. I might have a microphone to work with, or it might be filmed, or I'll need to coordinate audio visuals, or I'll need to test audio levels off my laptop, or I'll be looking to see if there are any audio hotspots that could create feedback, or I'll need to make sure handouts are ready for distribution, or, well, you can see that an hour is not early enough. Even if you can work it all out, all the logistical issues in an hour, it's not early enough for the mental preparation for that moment. 2, prepare the mind. It's not uncommon for there to be a lot going on before a presentation. The client often has questions. Audience members often wander up with questions. And there are support people who often want to chat. Before you know it, your name is called and your presentation begins. Is that really the way you want to start your race? You show up hours early, so at least 15 minutes before a presentation begins, you don't have to worry about answering any more questions. Find a quiet area where there's a comfortable chair, or take a nice, easy walk so you can clear your mind of all distractions. 3, visualize. It's difficult for me to tell you exactly what to visualize because it really depends on you. Many will visualize those first steps in front of the room, or seeing themselves successfully accomplishing the task at hand. As for me, I have a mental image of that of a racehorse getting ready to run a race. In my mind, I'm walking myself around a mental paddock, quiet and at peace, relishing the thought of the race that's soon to follow. Finally, be grateful. 5 minutes or so before a presentation, wander back into the room. If you can, take a position behind the audience. One of the last thoughts I suggest you place in your mind is a simple one. Look at the back of those heads and remind yourself to be grateful. Sometimes there will be 20 heads, sometimes 200 heads, sometimes 2,000 heads. The number is irrelevant. Be grateful that you have a rare and precious opportunity to be heard. At this moment in time, that audience is there to listen to you. The audience is not your opponent, but rather a gift. When placed under pressure, we get caught up in so many unnecessary worries that are usually not under our control. Why create even more stress by taking your mind to a negative place? Preparation is the secret weapon, and not just preparation for the presentation, but also preparation for that time before the presentation. Properly prepared, doesn't it make sense to take it to a positive place? Just remind yourself that these are the moments in life that make us feel alive. That's something you can control. Enjoy your race.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.